Hey friends, it's Sarah here, and today we are talking about all things 2023 goals. So I have written down all of my personal goals and all of my BookTube social media goals in this notebook. This is a Happy Planner notebook, and I think this is from the Wrong line that she had with Happy Planner a couple years ago. I love these notebooks because they are what do you call these? They're disc bound. And so I have literally added like so many sections of just blank pages to these notebooks. I've got a couple of them, but this is the one that I am planning to use for my goals this year. And I've got another one that's just kind of my everyday that I take with me in my bag. So that one, quite frankly, gets torn up a little bit more. It's got like a million different shopping lists and grocery lists and video ideas and things like that. That's kind of my all-purpose one, but this one I basically keep at home for the most part, and so I can check in with myself on my goals every once in a while. So I also have one of these like dashboards that I'm using as a bookmark for this section for my goal tracking. And so first I want to talk about my BookTube goals and my goals for my channel and my social media. And then we're gonna take a little bit of a turn and I will talk about what my personal goals are. And I don't love to make like New Year's resolutions per se, but I love the idea of a fresh start. I love the idea of getting to start over and try again. And there's a quote that I love that says something to the effect of like, when you don't succeed, try again, fail better. And basically that means like, you can continuously not succeed, but when you start over, you're starting from a place where you have more experience and more knowledge. So I like the idea of that rather than just New Year's resolutions that we make for the next 365 days. So while I do have some specific monthly goals for my channel, I do overall have yearly goals, but personal wise, I really just am focusing on the month of January. Yes, I know it's a little bit late to be posting these, but I'm posting them for accountability for me, and also because going forward, I do want to update them and post, maybe they'll stay the same for the next few months, or maybe they'll change, but I want to get them out there. Like I said, when you speak it, then that's holding yourself accountable, and other people can hold you accountable. So here we go. Let's start with my bookish goals. So if you watched my video where I did all of my 2022 reading stats, I posted that I think about a week ago, maybe 10 days ago, and I read 153 books last year. That was massive for me. It's the biggest reading, it's the most I've ever read in 1 year, I think, in my whole life. And it was a lot. And I was traveling a lot. As I said, my commute every week is insane. It's anywhere from 2 to 3 hours per day. And for a lot of the year, I was going into the office 5 days a week. I now go into the office 4 days a week. So I get a little bit of a break on Fridays, but that's still, anywhere from 8 to 12, sometimes more hours in the car every week. So I was listening to a ton of audiobooks. I do not anticipate that I am going to read 153 books this year. I'm setting my goal a little bit lower, and I'm actually really glad that I did, because honestly, I've gotten a little bit of a slow start this year. So I'm setting my Goodreads goal and just kind of my goal overall at 100 books completed for the year. Now, I consider anything to be a book, whether it's a physical book, an audiobook, an ebook. I know there's lots of conversation and controversy around that, but basically if you're reading, if you're consuming the material, that's reading to me. So 100 books is my overall goal for the year. Of that, I do want to use my Kindle more. I bought my Kindle for myself about a year and a half ago for my birthday, and I thought, I'm gonna use this all the time. I'm always gonna have it with me. And one thing that I do really like is, I don't have it here in my office right now, but I have just the Kindle Paperwhite, which is the small version. I guess it's like the original Kindle. I can actually fit that in the back pocket of my jeans. So I love that I can literally have it on me at all times if I wanted to. But I typically will like throw it in my bag, or, you know, sometimes I will take it with me to work. I don't typically take a lunch break at work, so I don't really get a lot of reading in. But I had this great idea that I was gonna get a Kindle and I was gonna use it all the time. And I only actually read 8 books on my Kindle for all of last year. So I didn't do as great as I wanted to. My goal for this year is going to up that a little bit. So I would love to read, my first goal is to read 12 books on my Kindle for the entire year. So that's basically 1 Kindle book a month. I think that's totally doable. Now, I don't have Kindle Unlimited, I don't have Audible, I don't have any of those subscriptions. So I typically will only get ebooks through my library. My library uses Libby. And so I use that for my audiobooks and for my ebooks. So I am sort of at the mercy of, you know, whatever is available. So that's, you know, that's kind of my thing. My son just ran through the house, so I don't know if y'all could hear that. So I'm kind of at the liberty of my library, what books are going to be available to me, but I have considered a KU subscription, but it's just not something that I think right now I need to do, because I am generally available to get quite a few things available through my library, because I am so heavily relying on audiobooks right now, and also because I have a book of the month subscription, and I pretty much, I've got, as they say here in the South, I've got enough to say grace over. So I've got enough on my plate right now. I don't feel like right now I need to add a KU subscription at this point, but we can always revisit that later on in the year. The next goal that I have is to read more diversely. So I want to read 100 books, any type of books. I want to read 12 Kindle books, and I want to read more diversely. One of the things that we try to do in my real life book club that meets here in my town is that for February, we try to read an author of color. For March, it's National Women's Month, so we do try to, you know, stick with a female author. And so we do sort of try to read according to, you know, we try to recognize the different diverse celebrations, I guess, as we're reading throughout the year. But personally, I want to do that as well. I want to read from more authors of color. I want to read from more those who identify differently than I do. So I am a Hispanic. I could be white passing, but I pretty much let everybody know that they're dealing with a feisty Puerto Rican. So I am a Hispanic woman who is in a monogamous heterosexual relationship with my husband, but I realize that not everyone is like me, and I really want to start reading more stories that are from a different viewpoint than my own, and so that is a goal of mine for this year. Now I would love to talk about my actual goals and plans for this YouTube channel. So starting out, I started this channel almost exactly 5 years ago, right before my husband and I got married. I started this channel and I was very focused on project panning. You've probably noticed that I've kind of gone back to my roots a little bit, and I'm posting a couple of Project Pan videos here now because I do still want to be involved in that community, and I do still think it's a good idea for me to work through my stash, but I do primarily want to focus on reading and on BookTube and on being a part of and growing this BookTube community. So a lot of my subscribers are from the Project Pan community, although I feel like I am starting to get a couple more that are from the BookTube community. I would love to grow that population even more. I do not yet have 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. My goal before the end of the year is to have 1,000 YouTube subscribers. I looked at my channel on January 1st and I had 262. So we have a long way to go, but I feel like I can get there. I'm pretty confident I can get there. I have a plan for posting more regularly, which I know has kind of hurt my subscriptions in the past, that I just haven't, I've had so much going on personally and professionally that I have not been able to be consistent here where I have wanted to be. So I've got a little bit more of that under control now. And I think that if I am a little bit more consistent and I have a little bit more of a presence, hopefully I will boost those numbers. So my goal is 1,000 YouTube subscribers before the end of the year. I also, my goal and my plan is to post at least 2 times per week here on YouTube. I think that's something that's very doable for me. I was thinking that I was going to post on Tuesdays and Saturdays. It looks like maybe now that's going to be Mondays and Thursdays, but regardless, I plan to post 2 times per week here on YouTube. Moving on to my other social medias, really primarily, the other place that I post is on Instagram. I will have my Instagram link down below. I would love it if you would join me there. I'm pretty good about, I just started that Instagram when I started really getting more involved in the BookTube community. I joined a couple of online book clubs, and that was just within the past few, I would say 6 to 8 months. So on Instagram, I actually had, at the beginning of the year, I had 298 followers. I know that number is a little bit bigger now, but I would love to grow that even more. My goal for Instagram is actually 2,000 by the end of the year. So that's a huge goal from where I am right now. But again, I think it's doable and I really, really would love to achieve that. On Instagram, my goal is to post 3 times per week. So I want to do 2 videos and at least 3 Instagram posts per week. So those are just kind of my general social media goals. I forgot to mention when I was talking about the breakdown of my books that I do want to read 24 Book of the Month books overall for the year. So I have a backlog of Book of the Month books because ever since I joined over a year and a half ago, since I was eligible, I've been getting 3 books a month. And that's the max that they will allow you to order every month is 3. So I've been doing that for basically about a year and a half. My first year that I was a member, I did not meet the challenge goal. Last year, I met the challenge, the reading challenge, which was 24 books. But let me tell you, when I say November and December were all Book of the Month books, I mean it. I was reading so many Book of the Month books in the last couple of months of the year because I just wanted to hit that goal of 24 books that were Book of the Month for the year. I want to now read another 24 Book of the Month books this year, and that does give me a little bit of cushion, so I don't have to read all 3 of the books that I order every single month, but I do feel like to sort of justify continuing to order 3 books every month, I have to be consuming at least 2. on average. My next goal, my booktube or bookish goal, my next goal is to rate in all of the places. So last year I started out doing really well keeping track on my CAWPILE spreadsheet. I have a whole video on that where I talk about using CAWPILE and everything. I think that is in my 2022 reading stats video that I posted that I referenced a little while ago. So I talk about CAWPILE, and I've got a link to G and her video explaining it and her spreadsheet. G is from Book Roast. She's the one that created the CAWPILE rating system and the Google spreadsheet. So I will again link that down below. So I started out pretty consistent on that last year. There were a couple of times where I would like look at my Goodreads and it would say, oh, you've read 74 books. And I would look at my CAWPILE and it's like, oh, you've read 71. And I'm like, okay, where did I forget to add 3 books? You know? So there were a couple times when I had to kind of go back and cross-reference and add things. But for the most part, I'm pretty good about keeping up that spreadsheet. So I want to continue to use CAWPILE. She does have it newly formatted, or a new version for this year, which I have started to use already. I want to continue to use Goodreads as my basically main source of tracking. And then, guys, I'm going to give Storygraph another shot. I really want to be good at Storygraph, but it's not as intuitive to me as Goodreads is. It's a little bit more clunky, and I know that it's newer, and I know that it's, you know, independent and kind of like a startup type of a thing, but like, I'm not tech savvy at all in the least. So it takes me a little bit more time to track on Storygraph, but I'm going to try. I am going to try. And then finally, I want to be more consistent about tracking or posting on Goodreads and actually posting reviews of books on, not Goodreads. Why did I say I meant Instagram. I want to be better about posting reviews for the books that I read on Instagram. I am a one-finger typer, as I said, not tech savvy. So it's really hard for me to like type out a huge long caption on Instagram. I don't like it at all. So usually I'll just come up with some like witty little very short caption and then post my, my photo. So I'm going to try to be better about that. Y'all can keep me accountable. That's what we're going to go for. Yes. And then kind of just an overall goal that I have, it can kind of be for Insta, but mostly primarily for this channel, is that I really want to get better at my editing skills. You've probably noticed for this year, I've got, I'm adding some music and I'm adding some more graphics. And so I really, really am trying to create better content. I'm really trying to create something that I want to watch and produce, and that I hope will be interesting and entertaining for you as well. And part of that is learning about, just the editing process. I actually have a degree in production, but that was from like years ago, and I don't even use the same software anymore. So I'm trying to do that on like a smaller scale, and just make really good content for you guys. So that is a massive goal of mine. So now I want to talk about my personal goals. So if you don't care anything at all about what me personally, what I have planned for this month and going forward this year, thank you for watching. Feel free to, skip out now. But I do, as I said, I like to have this to kind of look back on for accountability. And I think that, it's good to share these things because maybe somebody else is in the same situation and, can kind of use the same boost that I can. So here's what I am working on. I do not have a glitzy, glamorous, social media perfect life. As I've said before, this is just something that I do totally for fun, and I have a very stressful job, and I am perfectly imperfect. So this is just me trying to be a better person and trying to do better, focus on my health, and that's my physical health and my mental well-being, and really try to take better care of myself this year. So that is priority number one for me this year. Is I feel like the first couple years of my son's life, this is, I know, very common. We get stuck like being just the caretaker, right? And so we're just focused on this tiny human that needs us 24 hours a day. And it can be incredibly stressful and incredibly rewarding, but also incredibly depleting. And so, speaking of, he's crying right outside of my door. So I kind of hope you guys can't hear that, but I'm going to carry on and just believe that Dad's got it under control. So I have a huge goal to make myself a priority this year. I feel like, my son is 4.5 now, and so we're out of that baby stage where he needs me all the time. He still thinks that he needs me all the time, but I can be a little bit less of a helicopter parent and not have to worry about if he's going to touch something, or if he's going to hurt himself, or if he's going to break it, it's going to break something or whatever. We're kind of moving out of that stage and more into like the little boy stage rather than the baby stage. So, I'm going to focus on me this year. Having said that, my word of the year, I'm so excited about my word of the year. My word of the year for 2023 is play. And I chose play after much debate because my words in past years have been really focused on ambition and succeeding and, achieving. And they've been very focused on what I have been very focused on the last few years, which is getting my degree, getting my CFP designation, and, getting my dream job and checking all of these things professionally off of my list. And I have done that now. And so now, as I said, my son is getting older and I don't want to miss out. He's playing baseball and I want to be able to get in there and play with him and, do all the fun things with him. And I don't want him to only ever see the work side of mommy. And so my word of the year is play. Okay, so my next goals are really mostly physical health focused, I guess you would say. Okay, my first one is that I want to drink between 80 and 100 ounces of water per day. I am not good about drinking water at all. And I know you're supposed to drink half of your body weight in, not half of your body weight, but like if you weigh 100 pounds, you're supposed to drink 50 ounces of water. If you weigh, say, 120, you're supposed to drink 60 ounces. So 80 to 100 ounces of water is a little bit more than half of my body weight in ounces, but I also know that I am chronically dehydrated and I get really bad headaches, and I'm also severely anemic. So all of these things basically make my, it's just better if I stay hydrated because that kind of affects all of these things. I talked about my Stanley Cup at length in my last video, and I absolutely love it. I got it for Christmas from my mom, and I actually bought her one also for Christmas, and she loves it and I love it. This is 40 ounces, and what I love is that I can put a ton of ice in it because I have to have it super, super cold. I can put a ton of ice in it and still fit a lot of water in it. So I end up filling this up a few times throughout the day, and it has tremendously helped me in getting my water intake in. So far, there's only been one day that I have not gotten my 80 ounces in, and that was the day that we were at the stock show. We were at the stock show in Fort Worth for like 6 or 7 hours, and we were walking around and we were, you know, looking at the animals and looking at the exhibits. And then we went to the little carnival area in the Midway, and I did not drink. I drank one beer, and that was all I had that entire afternoon because I just didn't really think about it that much, but also I just hate the public restrooms that are down there. So I didn't, so yeah, I just didn't want to pee in public. So I didn't get all my water in that day, but I got a lot of steps in. So that leads me to my second goal, is that I want to get 10,000 steps per day. Now, for a lot of people, this is absolutely no issue. For me, this has been a challenge every single day, except for the day that we were at the stock show. And then there was another day, where did we go? Then a separate day we went to the rodeo. And so that day I got about 11 or 12,000 steps in. But usually, like Monday through Friday, this is a real challenge for me. When I go to my office, everybody works exactly the same. I have my own private office there. I go into my office. Everybody just sits at the desk. We just sit there and then we work and then we get up and we go home. I seldom take a lunch break, as I said. So I am literally sitting at my desk for hours on end. And I just don't get my steps in. I might leave with like 4,000 steps at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that means I have to make up 6,000 steps by the end of the day. So many, many times so far this year, I have spent just doing laps around my house so that I can get my steps in. But I have done it every single day so far this year. And that's just because I'm just trying to prioritize that. So a huge goal of mine is to get 10,000 steps per day. I think I mentioned it, but these are just my goals for January, and then we'll kind of reevaluate. I'm probably going to keep them the same for February because, I mean, at this point, we're almost in February. So these are going to be my January, February goals. Let's just make that decision right now. So I'm doing great on my water. I'm doing really good on my steps. The next goal for me is to get 15 to 20 minutes of exercise per day. This is intentional exercise. This is not, when I have my Apple Watch on and I'm like going up a flight of stairs and it records a minute of exercise or, something like that. This is intentional exercise that I want to do every day. And for the most part, I am doing that. This past week, it's been a little bit more of a challenge for me, but I have done it. And so right now I'm doing well on that, but it's another thing that I'm just not great at. So I have found a couple of, HIIT videos on YouTube that I really like, and I'll try to remember to, the one that I've been using here lately, I'll try to remember to link that down below. I can't even remember the gal's name, but it's really good. There's no jumping. What I find a lot of problems with is I was in a car accident when I was in high school, and so now I have arthritis in my knees. And so it's very hard for me to do like a ton of lunges and things like that. I literally will fall over if I have to do too many lunges in a row. So I have found this girl who does this great beginner HIIT workout, and there's no jumping involved whatsoever. So it's been really great, and I do feel like I'm working as I'm going through it. And so I have really enjoyed it. So I'll try to remember to link that down below in case you too are looking for something that is beginner level, but you don't want to do a bunch of jumping. My next goal is something that I do every year in January. And so this one I may or may not take into February. It is something that I do every January, and it's kind of my version of dry January. So I am not a huge drinker. I mentioned that I had a beer at the stock show, but I don't typically drink that often. Now, there was a period late last year where I bought a 12-pack of beer, and I literally would walk in the door from work, fix my kid dinner, and sit down and have a drink. 2022 was a very rough year for me professionally, and that bled into being a rough year personally, unfortunately. So I'm not a big drinker, but I do drink like typically at least one soda per day. I'm in Texas, so the soda of choice here is Dr. Pepper. So for the month of January, every single year, I do a no soda dry January. That's basically my version of it. And so I have done that again for January of this year. And in that dry January, I'm saying no soda and less than or equal to 5 alcoholic beverages. So I've had 1 Bloody Mary and 2 light beers. I drink Mich Ultra typically, like water beer. So I've had 1 Bloody Mary and 2 Mich Ultras so far this entire month. So that's like, 1 drink a week essentially, which I don't think is terrible. So I'm still good on no soda, and I'm still good on less than 5 alcoholic beverages for the entire month. I also want to have fast food less than 5 times. So fast food for me is like burgers or pizza or chicken, chicken tenders or whatever, like Raising Cane's type of thing. Now I have had, this past Friday for lunch, I got a sandwich from Jimmy John's. And I'm not going to call that fast food. Yes, their slogan is like freaky fast, but it's just a sandwich. I could have made it at home, but I didn't have the hoagie bun and I didn't have the condiments. I'm not considering that fast food. I'm considering fast food something that like is typical fast food, pizza or burgers or like chicken tenders, In that vein, we've had pizza twice. I got a giant pizza from Sam's Club yesterday, and then I ordered from Papa John's last Friday. And then I have had, there was one other thing, maybe Whataburger? I can't remember if it was like Whataburger or Sonic or whatever, but I think it was Sonic. Yes, it was, because I had pickle fries. Those are awesome. So I have had fast food 3 times this month, so I'm still below my 5 times per month. There was a time when I would literally eat a burger and fries Monday through Friday for lunch. I would just go down the street from my office, pick up a burger and fries, and come back and drink it with a giant soda. I have gotten away from that. I'm getting a little bit better about bringing my lunch when I do go into the office. But I still want that to be a focus. I still want to eat less than 5 times per month, because that's like a little bit more than once a week. I think that's totally doable. The next couple of goals are going to sound a little bit weird. The first one is that I want to do a skincare routine every night. I am terrible about having a skincare routine. And if you are here from my project panning days, you know that. Every project that I've ever done, I've put in a skincare item and I've said like, oh, I'm really bad about washing my face at night. I don't know. I just don't do it. I'm tired. I'm usually cranky and I just want to go to bed. So, it is a very big deal for me to implement an actual skincare routine. And in that vein, I think I'm going to do a Project 10 pan, like a rolling 10 pan, and the majority of it is going to be skincare. So stay tuned for that. I think I'm going to have that coming up probably at the beginning of February. But yes, one of my goals is to literally wash my face every night and implement a skincare routine. The next one, as I said, this one is going to sound a little bit weird. I want to complete the Mins Game, and the Mins Game is something that was created by a minimalist group, I think here on YouTube, although I don't really know. I learned about the Mins Game from Jessica Lee. She's amazing. She is just an absolute superstar in the project panning community. And the Mins Game goes like this. On day 1, you declutter 1 item. On day 2, you declutter 2 items. On day 3, you declutter 3 items. And you go through the entire month decluttering in that vein, so that on the 30th day or the 31st day, you're decluttering 30 or 31 items. And at the end of the month, if it's 31 days, then you will have decluttered like 495 items or something like that. So I started this back in September. I took some time off because we have Labor Day here in the US. So I had like a long weekend then, and then I took a couple of days off for my birthday, which is also in September. So I started getting all of this stuff together, and I started, shooting just these short little clips of videos, and then I kind of fell off the wagon. And so my goal is that I would love to finish that at some point. I thought I was going to do it here in January. That might move to a February project and a February video, but I am going to post it here when I'm all done. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and keep the clips that I had done back in September and do like a short little video disclaimer and say like, hey, I started this and now I'm finishing it. So here you go. Here's my 31 days of the Mins Game all together. Okay. The next 2 goals that I have, my first one is that I want to use my planner consistently. I am a paper and pen planner girl. As I said, my notebook is from the Happy Planner, and last year I used a book tracking planner, and I was so intimidated by it that I hardly used it at all. I spent a lot of money on it, and then I hardly ended up using it at all. I have gone back to the Happy Planner for this year. This one is a Disney or a Pixar theme, just because I thought my son would get a kick out of that. It's got like The Incredibles on it, the grumpy guy from Up, and I think where's Woody? Oh, there's Woody right there. So this is just a fun little, just a fun little cover. It has the monthly pages are Disney themed as well, or Pixar themed, or whatever they are. But other than that, aside from these like little, these little accents on some of the pages, the other pages are totally blank. So you could use it and not even know that it was, that it was Disney themed if you're worried about, like not looking professional or something like that. They're totally blank inside. And so this is what I am used to, and I have to get back on track with using my planner. I feel like that was probably a big reason why I was so scattered last year, because I didn't just have my whole entire life written down in front of me that I could reference at any point of the day. So I really, really want to be more consistent with using my planner, get back on track, and using that weekly, if not daily. And then the next, and basically my last goal for myself, this is for the next couple of months, but also just going forward, as I have mentioned a few minutes ago, is that I really want to take better care of my health and my well-being. It has been entirely too long since I have had a well woman visit, since I've gone to the dentist, since I've had an eye exam. So I need to do these things, and I need to make them priorities. So one of my goals for January was to call my OBGYN and to schedule my well woman visit, which I have not had since my son was born. There you go. There's my ugly truth. So I did that. I had called a few weeks ago and they couldn't take me. So I called again this week, and it took me 45 minutes on the phone with these people, but I finally got something scheduled, and my visit is actually in 3 weeks. So I have that on the calendar. So that's check one for Sarah. My next sort of big feat is going to be to find a dentist. I don't even have a dentist anymore because it has been years and years since I have been to the dentist. So I need to find a dentist and I need to make an appointment, and hopefully I won't have to wait 6 months basically for an appointment. And then after that, I'll worry about getting my eyes checked. I do wear glasses, as I mentioned before. It's hard for me to wear glasses on camera because they just reflect my ring light right back and it looks funny. So, sometimes I'm like this and trying to look in my little viewfinder right here and go, oh, is that in focus? Am I on, am I in frame or whatever? So there we go. So those are in order priority: my well woman visit, a dental, full dental workup, and then to get my eye exam done, because that's been probably 3 years since I just keep reordering new glasses with the same prescription. So there we go. Those are some big goals. Some of them are very personal. But like I said, I wanted to go ahead and put it right out there. So please know, if it's been a while since you've had a well person visit, or if you haven't been to the dentist in 10 years, you're not alone. So maybe this is just like, the push that you need. We can do that together. So there we go. Those are my plans for the next few months and also for the year. YouTube wise and reading wise and personal, please leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. What are some big goals that you have for the year? Like I said, I love it when you leave comments because then we can cheer each other on. Also, don't forget to like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe so I can hit those big giant goals that I have for this channel. And leave me a comment and let me know what your goals are for the year. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you really soon. Bye.